Trying to keep up with Bitcoin is like trying to catch lightning in a bottle, right?
Yeah, it's a wild ride for sure.
One minute you're cruising, the next you're clinging on for dear life.
Yeah.
Well, today we're diving into all the latest Bitcoin buzz.
That's right. We're dissecting a fascinating article that breaks down the hottest trends from geopolitics to, get this, meme coins.
You heard right. So buckle up, listeners, because things are about to get interesting.
Well, kicking things off, this article really highlights how global events can directly impact the price of Bitcoin. Like this recent dip we saw, down to $60 2K. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I remember checking the charts and being like, oh, no, here we go again.
Right. Well, the article points to the escalating tension between Iran and Israel as a major factor.
That's wild. Like, Bitcoin is actually reflecting real-world events.
Exactly. It's not just some isolated bubble.
Speaking of bubbles, that dip was definitely a nail-biter. But then, just as quickly, it bounced back up to 61K.
That's Bitcoin for you, always keeping us on our toes. And the article actually emphasizes this volatility as a key takeaway. It suggests that while headlines might cause those initial shockwaves, the actual price impact is often temporary.
Okay, so maybe we don't need to panic every time there's a little geopolitical drama.
Maybe not, but it's worth noting that this recent dip did coincide with the largest outflow from Bitcoin ETFs in a month.
So some investors are getting a little spooked.
Seems like it, a bit of uncertainty creeping in. But on the flip side, the article also mentioned Kyle, that prominent investor. He went ahead and bought 10 more Bitcoin during the dip.
Ah, classic Kyle. Always the contrarian. Makes you wonder who's got it right, right? Is this a sign to buy the dip? Or is Kyle just, well, Kyle?
It's a tough call. But the author of the article actually brings up a really interesting point about how crises like this often lead to governments, how shall I put it, getting a little too friendly with the printing press.
Ah, yes, the money printer goes, brr. We've all been there.
Right. And if history has taught us anything, it's that excessive money printing tends to, let's say, benefit alternative assets like Bitcoin. Remember the 2008 financial crisis?
Oh, yeah. Governments printing trillions, gold going through the roof.
Exactly. And the article suggests we could see a similar pattern emerge with Bitcoin this time around, so maybe Kyle is onto something. But let's move on from the serious stuff for a moment, shall we? Let's talk about something a little more, shall we say, unconventional. We can't ignore the elephant, or should I say the meme coin in the room. Joe Biden coin, Doggo coin.
It sounds like something out of a fever dream, doesn't it?
It really does. But here's where it gets interesting. Some of these meme coins are actually seeing pretty significant, though incredibly risky, surges in value. It's mind-boggling.
It's like the Wild West of crypto out there. So what's the deal with these meme coins? Are they a joke, or is there something more to them?
Well, the article kind of compares investing in them to gambling. High risk, high reward, and potentially, soul-crushing losses.
So for our listeners who need the bottom line, what's the takeaway here?
I'd say think of meme coins like lottery tickets. Don't go betting the farm on them. But hey, a little speculative play money, maybe, maybe not. Just be prepared for anything to happen.
Oh, to live by. Okay, let's shift gears again back to the geopolitical arena. Because it turns out nations are jumping into the Bitcoin pool. And it's not just El Salvador anymore.
Yeah, El Salvador might have been the trailblazer, but get this. Bhutan, the country known for its focus on happiness and sustainability, now holds twice as much Bitcoin as El Salvador.
What? Really, Bhutan? That's a curveball.
And there are whispers that Argentina might be next.
It seems like Bitcoin is going global.
It really does. And that ties into a really important point the article makes about global Bitcoin adoption. Forget the daily price swings for a moment. What does this tell us about the long-term direction? It seems like governments are starting to view Bitcoin as more than just a tech experiment. They're seeing it as a strategic asset.
It's like that saying, don't miss the forest for the trees.
Right. Speaking of not missing the forest for the trees, the article had some really interesting advice for all our crypto startup founders out there. Those brave souls navigating this crazy landscape.
I'd say it's more like a jungle out there than a landscape.
That too. But the author's advice was clear. Raise capital during those bull markets.
Stock up for the winter while the sun is shining.
Exactly. You need to be prepared when those inevitable downturns hit. Otherwise...
Left out in the cold.
Precisely. And speaking of threats, we can't forget about those pesky patent trolls.
Oh, man. Those guys. Always trying to game the system.
The article called them out for trying to stifle innovation, and rightfully so. It's encouraging to see groups like the Cryptocurrency Open Patent Alliance fighting back.
It's good to know someone is.
Right. But on a more serious note, let's talk about security for a moment. Because with all the excitement and innovation in the crypto world, it's easy to forget about the basics.
Absolutely. We've got to stay vigilant.
And that's what the author emphasizes. You know, phishing scams are becoming increasingly sophisticated. These scammers are getting really clever, and it's all too easy to fall prey to their tricks.
I remember reading about how the author almost fell for a phishing scam back in their university days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just goes to show it can happen to anyone. So to everyone listening, triple check those wallet interactions.
Absolutely. Don't let those scammers get their grubby hands on your hard-earned Bitcoin.
Well said. So to wrap things up, it's clear that the Bitcoin world is anything but boring.
It's a roller coaster, from global power plays to meme coin madness and everything in between.
And with predictions of Bitcoin potentially reaching $200K in 18 months, it really begs the question, are we on the verge of another FOMO frenzy? Or is healthy skepticism the way to go?
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little bit of both.
Me too. It's exciting and terrifying all at the same time. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, I guess. Well, on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those existential crypto questions.
Until next time.
Stay curious and keep exploring.